Hello! So in this first live coding session, what we're going to do is we're going to get started developing automation tools for your own campaigns using the Facebook API. And we are going to develop a simple tool to start a campaign as a script, which means that you can then run cron or Windows Scheduler or whatever Mac uses, I don't actually know, to run that whenever you want. So the first step we have to do is you'll need to have Python installed for this, and you'll need to have pip installed. Other than that, all you need is a Facebook account, which I'm going to guess that you have. Now, you'll need to go to developers.facebook.com, and the first thing you'll need to do is to sign up as a Facebook developer, which is a simple checkbox. And once you've done that, you will see this screen here. Then we can go to create an app. Now, you can use one app for all of your automation scripts. The reason we're doing this is that the API is primarily built for people who are intending to build apps that other people can use. So it all kind of assumes that you are building something that you are eventually intending to take to a global scale, like it says right there, which we aren't right now, or possibly ever. So we'll create a new app ID. Now, one trick with this is it's important to remember, I tripped up on this when I was preparing for this. You cannot name your app anything like Facebook Mastery app or whatever, because they won't allow you to use the word Facebook for obvious reasons. So in this case, we'll just call it testing app. The name really does not matter a tiny little bit, not even a little bit. And we'll complete this sublimely irritating captcha, which is almost impossible to get right the first set out of the first time. And this creates us a brand new spanking app. You'll have to choose what it is you want to be using here. And what you want to be using almost certainly is the marketing API, which is everything to do with advertising. So we'll hit set up there. Already got the docs for marketing API over here. You are going to be needing to refer to these a lot. Now the next thing we have to do, now that we've done this, is associate an ad account with it. Now we could set up a sandbox ad account, and on the other longer coding example, I will actually use the sandbox ad account. But in this case, we are just going to live dangerously and associate an ad account live. It may shock you to learn that I am not using my actual regular ad account for this. I am instead using something I've set up very specifically. So we'll add my account here, and then we will just go over to Tools, set up the token permissions. You'll want to be able to read insights, you'll want to be able to read ads, and then click get token. Grab that, and we're going to use that in a minute. The next thing we're going to need to do is we are going to need to make sure we have the Facebook SDK installed so that you can use the marketing API. You could just use the API with something like requests. As I mentioned, I'm using Python for this, so whatever the equivalent is for C# or Java, JavaScript, whatever, you could use the API, and it's not going to make a huge amount of difference. But in this case, we are going to use the Python SDK because it makes things slightly easier. So we'll go over here, down to SDKs and how to install the SDK. And this is fairly simple. I've done it already. Easy install pip, and then you can clone the Facebook GitHub if you really want to, but this will also just work just from a repo. So either way, install this, and then we are good to go. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start up a new program, a new script. And we're going to save it as a Python script for obvious reasons, so that I get access to all the nice autocomplete functions. Except Visual Studio Code is being weird at me. There we go. Okay. So we're going to save this. We'll save it as a Python file. Okay, and now we have all of that nice automatic updating that you want. Just move Photoshop here because I'm not really needing it right now. Okay, so job number one is we need to import the relevant bits of the Facebook API. So we will go from Facebook ads dot add objects. No, my bad. Dot API even. we will import the Facebook Ads API. And that's all we need to do. This is just needed to actually get access to the Facebook API. So we will authenticate with that in a moment. We're going to need to do something with that once we've got it. So we will also go from Facebook. Now there are two gems here, and the reason for this is I accidentally installed the wrong one and haven't gotten around to uninstalling it. So it's always Facebook Ads you want. Facebook Ads.addObjects.user user import user. Okay, now then we're just going to set up our access token. There we go. Okay, paste that in there. That's nice and short and easy to memorize. And then we will just init by going Facebook Ads API dot init brackets, and then we will just use access token equals access token. Boom. That's all we need. So I already have a command line window set up here. So Python start campaign final. Boom. And nothing happens because we haven't actually set it up to do anything yet. But the fact that we haven't got any errors implies that connecting worked, and that's all we need to do. Now, it is worth noting at this point that if you look at the docs, you will see that it's telling you to do something much more complicated. Wants you to use app secrets and app IDs and all this sort of thing over here. Now, my understanding, and this may be wrong, is that that is outdated. And this is one thing that you will hit from time to time, is that you will find that the docs are in some places a little bit outdated. Here is a fairly classic example. It's not called an ad user anymore, it's called a user. So at that point you will want to charge over to Stack Overflow, but for the purposes of this tutorial I have already checked everything, so it will work fine, hopefully. I say this, of course it will now completely screw up. Right, next thing we're going to do is we're just going to get access to our account and check that is working. So me equals, now this is one thing you'll end up doing a lot. You'll end up creating, in fact most of what you'll end up doing is creating objects. So in this case I'm creating a user object and the FBID. Now the nice thing here is that all of this stuff has really good autocomplete. So you can see here, you can just hover over it to find out what we need. In this case we need FBID, and the FBID equals me, because that's one of the things you can do. So once we've done that, we just go my account equals me dot get add accounts. Again, autocomplete is lovely, and we've only added one account, so it's going to be account 0. And then just to check that's worked, we will print my account. Save. Woohoo! It does not work for some reason. Why has that broken? Oh, yeah, okay, that's broken because I'm an idiot. Well, I'm not an idiot, but I forgot something. Of course, we need to have the open brackets, close brackets, because this is a method. There we go, and we have the account ID being passed back, so you can now all friend me on Facebook. Actually, I think that's the ad account. I'm not sure that works. Maybe it does. Find out. Okay, so next thing we need to do. This is obviously not terribly useful, so we will just get rid of that. In fact, we can actually get rid of all of this. We don't really need it. We want to pause or unpause a campaign. So we will start by importing from Facebook Ads.addObjects.campaign. Import campaign. Now we'll create ourselves a reference. Now when we're initializing things like user here, basically what we're doing is we're initializing a local reference to whatever it is in the script. So in this case I'm going to create a thing called campaign, and that equals campaign, and we see here that that again requires an FBID, which in this case is the ID of the campaign. You can get that from your adverts manager. I have a campaign all readily set up here with a you can see a lovely stock photo that I got from Facebook Selection. It's the one and only time you will ever ever see me using a Facebook stock photo. And you can pull the campaign ID either from the URL here, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, or you can just click on it and pull it from up here. Although, once again, it can be a bit of a pain. Selected campaign IDs, you can see up here. Just go to this one, grab that, and there we go. Okay, so that's going to be campaign number there. And what we'll do now is we will print campaign, which surprisingly begins with a C. Its ID is that, which is the same ID we have there. And just to check that we've got the right one, we will actually grab the fields for that. Fields are going to be... Now, this is one thing you'll end up doing, is remote blah 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 blah. You will end up doing a lot. So in this case, we're going to read in some data from Facebook and then print that. So fields of campaign dot field dot name, and that's all we really need. So we'll fire that up, and there we go. Name is traffic. Oops, that is the same as the name over here. If I was to rename it, which I should just do. Fairly sure there's not too many other people on Facebook running campaign with that name, although given the size of the damn thing, there's going to be some of them. There we go, testing, I'm a giraffe. Okay, excellent. Now all we know that we are connecting to this. All we need to do now is to set it active. So we'll start by just checking that its status is initially not active. Status, okay, let's just check what that does. Status paused. Perfect. Okay, great, we've got paused campaign. So now we just do campaign dot yes, campaign field. So we're going to update the field for the campaign. Status equals campaign. Now you might think that this would then type field here. I am not in fact going to type field because this is a variable for all campaigns. I'm just going to go capital S status and set that to active, and then I will do campaign dot remote, and it's another remote thing, just remote update, and that just this sets the local campaign that we have here to have a status of active. And this updates it, and you can see here, if I just do this again, if I just do this without updating, we'll get paused both times. Yeah, because that hasn't updated it. But if I now put the remote update in there, now after that it is active, and if we run that again, it will be active both times. So that's all there is to it. As we can see over on the Adverts Manager, if I F5 this, as we're all terribly used to doing, testing, I'm a giraffe is now running. I'll just pause that because I don't really want to spend any money on it. And there we have it. And this is a really, really simple script. In fact, I'll just show you how simple it is by deleting all the bits we don't actually need. That's it. That is all you need to set a campaign active using the Facebook Ads API. And you could then set this to run using Windows Scheduler or Cron or whatever it is that Mac people use. I have no idea. And this will save you the hassle of having to remember to set your ads live at 12. You can just create a campaign whenever you want, or possibly using another script, and then set this thing to run at 12 on the dot, and it will start your campaign. And that's all there is to it. I'll see you for the next more complex live coding example, in which I will demonstrate how to generate an entire campaign, add ad sets, creative, the whole works. See you there.